Hello to everyone catching up with us on YouTube Live. I'm so excited because it says in studio and worldwide. That means that someone is either watching on the desktop version of Fireside or tuning in from YouTube. So thank you. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. And we are in the full moon in Pisces. What does that mean? Oh my goodness. Well, let me tell you before we get into the juice of it all. And I hope that you brought your journal and your painting. And if not, I will do it all. I know Peter is here. Peter, thank you for joining us. Peter is world renowned for his mouth painting. He doesn't use his hands. He uses his mouth to grab the brush and to paint his works of art. So I'm very excited about that. And thank you for communicating with me in the back channel and for supporting me the way that you do. I appreciate you dearly. And so, the full moon in Pisces, what can I tell you? As you know, I'm not an astrologer. I get all of my Pisces, whatever information elsewhere, all over social media. I like to, read here and read here and read here, and then tune into my community and say or think, what does my community need from me at this time? What are they going through? So on and so forth. And essentially, here's what's happening. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So after Pisces, we're going to start over, so on and so forth. And it's essentially the harvest moon. So as you know, I do a lot of the Native American names for the moon, and it's called harvest moon because people are starting to gather what they need for the winter. So this is why it's called harvest. We start gathering, but emotionally speaking or spiritually speaking, right? Or psychically speaking, I know that word, it's like, oh, scary, but it's not. You all have a psyche, everybody. So psychically speaking, what it means is a lot of insight. And the thing about receiving insight or receiving inspiration or receiving downloads, you may use that word, you may find that on social media, or receiving revelation. The thing about that is that if you are aligned, if your life is aligned the way that I describe, right, in the journey into soul alignment, if you have all of your ducks in a row and you are healthy, well, thriving, then your downloads are not going to be overwhelming. They're actually going to come in the shape of creativity, projects, inspiration, ideas. So many ideas, right? But the other side of that is if you are not in a position where you are soul aligned, if you are struggling, if you are, unhappy for whatever reason, if you are in a toxic relationship that doesn't allow for that authenticity to come out, right? If you are not in tune with your soul for whatever reason, maybe you don't believe you have a soul. Maybe you all automatically attach the soul to God and, something happened and you don't believe there is a God. So many reasons why there's, misalignment. But essentially, if you're misaligned, then all of those downloads are going to come anyway, and you're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel triggered. You're going to feel desperate in that euphoria that doesn't necessarily have to be positive. It can also be very overwhelming, like Rami was saying, right? And so we want the euphoria to be positive, to be passionate, to be, love, abundant blessings, love for everybody, courage, bravery, all of the positive things that we talk about and that I talk about in my content. But if you're in that other spectrum of it, if you're struggling, then you are going to feel very uncomfortable. And so I say that as a form of a warning, considering that the moon is speaking tomorrow and not tonight, so that you can be self-compassionate about some of the feelings that you're going to experience, especially if you're a highly sensitive empath. You might feel some of these inspirational downloads that are invisible. You might feel them in your body. You might feel fidgety. You might feel moody. You might feel, snappy. And, most importantly, you might see everywhere in social media about Mercury going retrograde. And I wonder if Rami knows anything about that. I'll follow up with him on that. But the thing about planets going on retrograde, what that means is that they essentially just stop on their track on the solar system. They're moving around that invisible lane that each planet has. And when a planet goes retrograde, it's not that it's going backwards, but that it stops in its tracks and the Earth keeps going. So essentially, it just leaves all planets behind. And what happens with Mercury retrograde is that Mercury is the planet that rules communication. So when it's in retrograde, it provides another side to communication, which is what? Miscommunication. And so it's going to affect community building, which I'm a super fan of. Here we are doing that. It is going to affect communication at work. Employees and bosses may not, see eye to eye for no apparent reason. It's like, why can't we get along? I don't understand. We're all just so moody and opinionated all of a sudden. Relationships may get tested because if you don't know how to communicate in a healthy way, it will surface during something like Mercury retrograde. And so you add the Mercury retrograde on top of a full moon in Pisces, and it's like a recipe for disaster if you're not prepared. And if you're not doing the things to heal, to align, to really open your soul with positive intention to just receive, divine guidance or divine instruction or whatever you want to call it. And so these are some of the things that I like to extract from all of my research to then bring to you as a fair warning, because it's been very eye-opening to learn about some of these things. Because when Mercury is in retrograde, and I noticed that in our own household, I have teenage stepkids and I have a husband and I have a toddler. And it's like when we are in Mercury retrograde and all of a sudden everybody's moody, if I didn't know it was Mercury retrograde, it might trigger me because of my background, or it might get me even more moody, or it might trigger some comments that are, not very compassionate, not very heartfelt, and arguments that are just pointless to have to begin with. But knowing that Mercury is retrograde is not that I'm shifting blame and saying, oh, blame Mercury. That's not it. But at the same time, knowing that some of these things are happening outside of the planet, which is fantastic, and I love it so much, it gives me a sense of peace to know that it's not us. It's not us that we don't want to communicate or that we cannot see eye to eye. There's a bigger force at play in this argument. So let's just take a moment. Let's take a breather. Let's just, maybe it's not the right time to have this conversation, right? And so these are some of the things I wanted to discuss tonight. And when it comes to our full moon, what we're going to journal and what we're going to, paint or whatnot, it really has to do with releasing some of the negative aspects of those downloads that you may have received this week, because some of that insight may trigger shame, right? Because the divine and the full moon is shedding light on some of the aspects of our life, right? So the moon may be shedding light on the fact that you're procrastinating on something that you shouldn't be procrastinating on. Okay, well, now you know that. What are you going to do about it? Maybe you want to let go of festering in the shame that you inevitably feel when this highlight comes to mind, and then you can get on with your work. So releasing the shame is something that we can talk about in the full moon. I release the shame. I'm over it. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this thing done. And really, some of the things I'm telling you are some of the things I have to hear too. I have a deadline of Black Friday, and it's already Friday, and I haven't done much for my project. And so it's already a week gone. What did I get accomplished, right? And there's no shame. There shouldn't be any shame, right? And growing up in a very toxic and tricky upbringing, I was given shame for eating the way that I wanted to eat or eating the things that I wanted to eat. And it's like, why? Why? We don't all have to like the same things. We don't all have to eat in the same way at the same hours or have the same diet just because we belong in the same household. That honestly has no logic at all, right? And so releasing the shame, understanding that you're in a safe place, that you're an adult, that you can do whatever you want or not do it. All of that just opens up the door to freedom. And when you are free, you get to choose. And when you get to choose, you can be responsible, you can be creative, you can just be yourself, your authentic self, and then maneuver, how that comes across and how that is received and what you want to do about all of it. So, oh, that was a lot. I feel like that was a lot, but let's go ahead and I hear Peter says thank you, and I appreciate you right back. Yes, I thought you were coming up to speak. I apologize for that. Ron says I love this stuff. Harvest Moon is a great song by Neil Young. Ooh, we're gonna have to look it up. And no, these are not sequins. This is actually this is tinsel. So it's actually quite itchy, if I may say that, because it's tinsel, like the type of tinsel that people put on the Christmas tree. But yes, thank you so much, Ron. So, if you would like to come up and share about some of the things that you might want to release, and if not, I'll give you an overview about some of the conversations that we have had on this show so far. We have talked about releasing let me think really quick. Overthinking. This was one of the things that our fellow content creator on the app, Frankie J, shared with us. And the thing about overthinking, I've mentioned this before, is that it creates analysis paralysis. And when you are stuck in the analysis paralysis, you end up not doing anything and you miss the bus. So, hello, Peter. How are you doing? You can come on camera if you want.
Yes.
Okay, let's do it. You should be on camera. How are you doing, my
Hi,
friend?
Graciela. Good. How are you?
Welcome. I'm doing wonderful.
Thank
Are
you.
we feeling the euphoria?
Yes, it's amazing.
Awesome. Yes. So, what would
Already.
you like to share?
Well, you asked if we wanted to share what we would like to shed with this.
Yes, let's write that
So
down.
it is probably something that I shared when I first spoke up on your show 2 weeks ago. So yes, I need to shed the I pile up so many great things to do and then procrastinate getting any of them done. So I would like to shed that on this new moon.
No, it's full moon.
Full moon, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's fine. I just want to clarify that we
Yes,
don't
it's a
want to
very
plant that seed on the new moon. We want
it's a
to release it because it's the full moon. And the beautiful thing about the full moon in Pisces is that we can all imagine things just being washed away and the waves just taking them away. So we're going to do that in a few minutes. So, um, you know, I'm a coach. So if I may, I would like to ask you some questions around this.
certainly
Okay, good. Okay.
because it could probably help a lot of other people too.
Right. Well, I want to help you right now. So let's do it. This whole thing about having so many beautiful things piling up and then getting stuck on that, analysis paralysis that just you end up not achieving, right? How does it make you feel when you realize, when you are aware of it? How do you feel?
I feel a little anxious. Very, I guess that's the bigger word is yeah, it makes me feel a little anxious, especially when I'm trying to sleep at night and it's all going through my head and the
Mm.
anxiousness builds up when you're just sitting there in the dark thinking about it.
Thinking about all the things you didn't do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we're going to release that anxiety as well. We want to be able to just call in peace and stillness And so that drives me to want to ask you, how do you practice stillness? Or do you not? And by that, I mean, peace and quiet, some meditation, some brain FM, maybe even some of my own meditations that are now on YouTube, all of that. How do you ever, or do you ever just sit there and practice that stillness and breath work?
I am one of those. First of all, I do not practice stillness. However, it's very ironic because I've been studying the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah for 12 years, and
Mm.
there are many wonderful meditations. I have a monthly or a yearly subscription to Brain FM and to Headspace, and I love the thought of it and have not once embraced the meditations. I do use them for like motivational music while you're getting tasks done, but I have not braced the meditation aspects of them. So it's like I gather all this stuff to like, ooh, meditate and be still. It's going to be awesome. But then I absolutely never use the tools.
Mm. Right. I can relate, and it happens to all of us. So don't worry about it, first of all. And it happens to me as well, except when I go a few days without doing my meditations or without doing my journaling, become hangry and moody, and everybody in the house feels it. So, just think about those things. And I would definitely say something that has helped me, because as an ICF certified coach, I cannot give you advice. And I get it. We're not on a coaching call right now, so I can do whatever. But still, I'll speak about my own experience. Something that has helped me with all of this meditation or mindfulness habit is to focus on how I want to feel after I do it, because sometimes it is an inconvenience. Sometimes I look at my schedule and I think, well, I don't have time to be still right now, right? It's like I have this idea, I have this deadline, I have this project. You're giving me all this revelation, and then you want me to just sit still, right? It's like that sounds like a complete paradox, but I know how I'm going to feel once I do it. So I stick to it and I do it anyway. And sometimes begrudgingly, because that's okay. We're all human, and so I get it that the energy of, doing things begrudgingly is not necessarily healthy or good. But at the same time, even sitting down to eat, sometimes it's an inconvenience. I wonder how many other adults that work from
Totally.
home feel like that. Yeah. It's like, yes, I don't want to have to go to the fridge and get the food and heat it up and then sit down. And it's like, I don't have time for this, right? I just want to be on the go. And sometimes I thrive on snacks that I can eat like standing up. And I know that that's not healthy, but it's like, how do I prioritize? If I'm going to prioritize my well being and my productivity, then I need to put some of these things at play, even if I don't want to. And then what you'll realize is that not only are you going to get in the habit of doing them, but then they're going to become second nature and you're going to do them, automatically. And that's what happens with me with my gratitude journal. I do it every single night before bed. I'm very open about how I don't like to, when it's not that I don't like it, I don't practice gratitude like that, like journaling in the morning, because that's too easy. Oh, I'm so grateful for another beautiful day. Thank you for the breath of life. Thank you for another day, blah, blah, blah. But at night, I want to be able to digest my whole day, regardless of what happened, and practice some very intentional gratitude. So for me, after years practicing, it just has more weight to it. And so I automatically just sit back on my bed and grab my journal. And sometimes I fall asleep doing it because I'm too tired. Sometimes I just write one line. Sometimes I fill the whole page. The thing is that now automatically when I lay down, my hands just grab the journal, right? And so that's really where we want to get to. And Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I obviously like kind of building that habit would be incredible. The habit for stillness and also the habit for the other incredibly useful and wonderful advice you gave me when we first spoke on
Mhm.
your show of putting work on my calendar to succeed.
Work and breaks, right?
Yes, you did mention
Yes.
breaks as well. Yes.
Yes, time blocking, because if it's not on the schedule, we're not going to do it. Yes, and that happens with me as well. I have to put Brain FM on my calendar or I won't take the time to do it. And in all honesty, some of these social media encounters have helped me remain consistent with my own meditations, because sometimes, in order to show up for you all, I decide to do a meditation on my own so that I can recharge and so that I can center. So I wonder what type of, and you don't need to answer this question now. This is for you to look throughout the week. What types of engagements do you have during the week? Maybe on the phone, on Zoom, or in person, that you might want to stick some mindfulness on top of. I'm going to do this mindfulness meditation. It's just 10 minutes. It's really not a lot, right? I'm going to put 10 minutes of meditation before I leave the house, and put it on your calendar, and see what happens. And also, I would like to know what would help you get to that point. Is it accountability? Is it a social media challenge? I'm very big on asking my community what they want to see from me, so that then we can all figure out together how we can help each other along. I've done many of my successful coaching things because I ask my audience, what do you want from me? Right? What do you need? And then I'll just ask and create for all of you, right? Because it's not about me. So what would you say would help you get some of these things moving for you?
It's a very good question, and I guess I'm not sure what other alternatives are out there that I'm not thinking of, but accountability certainly feels like something, and it obviously resonates with me because my wheels are spinning already as you were talking about it. I think, I mean, I'm just a person more than like a coach or, an inspirational figure that follows the moon and energy like yourself. But it's interesting not to downplay my social media friends, but to consider them, and I am now a show creator on Fireside, to consider them my audience. And your audience can be friends to get feedback from. And maybe if I did create some sort of like, okay, 30 days of accountability, and I'm just going to let you follow my journey of being accountable to myself and to my tasks and to my stillness. And, if I drop the ball, it will have, the only consequences will be my ego, but I don't want to have those consequences.
Hmm. Yes, and Melem, I got your message. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. Yes, so creating challenges. Oh, how do I get out of here? Okay, all right. I clicked on something and I saw the words "end the show," and I'm like, no, I don't want to end the show. That would suck. Okay, so
Boy, I would really be like, man,
no, no, of course not. I would never do
she
that.
ended
But
the show on that one. Wow.
no, no, no. So, it's been very helpful for me. And I'm, as you already know, I'm very transparent about my journey and sharing with my community. This is what authenticity is. To know that coaching changed my life, absolutely, but not just because it gave me a real job that I am passionate about, but because being a content creator, it's not just about me, right? It's about my community online. Not everybody that follows my content is a client, right? Obviously. But what they provide for me is almost as or more valuable as the value that I provide in my content, because what they provide for me is a sense of accountability. If I tell my clients to do this or that, despite the fear, I have to show my audience that I am doing this or that despite the fear, right? It's like automatically, I have to show up in the same way that I coach my people to show up in their life. Otherwise, I'm kind of a hypocrite, right?
Mm.
There's a huge disconnect there, and that's not authentic. And so, if you ponder and you think that you would be well served to have accountability from your audience or to have accountability from us in this group, then all you have to do is ask, and we will help you stay accountable. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm very good at checking in.
Yes.
It's like twice in the past week I've been like, Peter, how are you doing? What's going on? And this is me just following promptings from the spirit, right? It's like if Peter comes into my head, I'm not just going to take that for granted and ignore it. I'm going to go and reach out, because what if I am needed? What if I could help you in some way? And most often than not, I'll post something in social media or I'll reach out to a client and they'll be like, I really needed that right now. Well, there you go. That's the testament to me following a prompting from spirit. So, I'm so grateful that you're here, Peter. Take a moment to just think about everything that comes from this quote unquote procrastination. Let's start calling it quote unquote, because these are just things that you want to change and that you're looking into so that you can get better at. And so we're going to stop calling it that, and we're just going to call it, another hurdle or another wave that you need to surf through, and journal about it. Journal about the fact that you are letting go of this pattern of behavior to make room for better habits, more productivity, and more content creation, because as you said, you're a content creator on the Fireside app.
Thank you.
Yay.
Yes. Plus, at the older I get as an aging quadriplegic, because I've been a quadriplegic since I was 19 and I am now 53. Um, when I was first injured at 19, they're like, oh, don't worry, quadriplegics live to be into their 50s and 60s all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm in my 50s, not that I play a deathly hallow, but there's a lot that I want to give back. And every year it's like, oh, I'll give back next year, but I want to start giving back now. Like, I think I've got a lot to share
Mm.
with people that I need to start sharing.
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. And I hope you come back on the new moon so that we can plant those seeds for you. I'm guessing speaking engagements, I'm guessing, writing features, sharing your story. And so let's just focus on, those things for you. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to do it, right? Unless you want to pay a ghostwriter, and by all means, you can do that. But if you're not going to go that route, then it's up to you to get those things done. And then it's up to you to figure out your schedule. So thank you. Thank you for being here and for being so vulnerable. We love you. And if you're going to paint,
Thank you.
I want to see what you paint. So either post it on Instagram and tag me, or send me a message on Instagram so that I can post about it and give you some of that hype that will inspire
Oh,
you to continue to participate. So
I
thank
do
you.
have all my paintings on my website. So, yeah, there is a place you can go to see them.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
Yay,
you.
everybody
See
give him a
y'all.
round of applause. Yes, thank you so much. So, Ron is here. Hi, Ron. How are you doing?
I am fantastic, Graciela. How are you?
I am great. What would you like to share?
Well, I just first want to say that it was really nice to hear Peter. He was very open and honest, and I love that. And I want to share that overthinking. I guess just a moment ago, not to, right before this show tonight, I was going to my Instagram and I had some stuff saved. And there's this one post I saved that was about it's a book called The 40 Laws of Power, and
Mm,
I'm reading it, and it's great stuff, but it's getting me so anxious about what I'm not, that I'm not following some of these laws, and it makes me for a momentarily I get a little distressed, and I hate that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's
And
just
so,
mhm.
go ahead.
Well, it's just like information like that is it seems valuable, but it just seems like too much. Just like an etiquette book. I remember a teacher in high school said, "Get a book on etiquette." So years later, I got one, and it's so many rules, and it's too much, and it's crazy. I mean, it's just most of them you're never going to use, but the
Right.
ones, and it's just like for instance, simple ones. Now these aren't too bad, but it's like you don't say "Hey," you say "Hello" or "How do you do." Uh, yeah, you don't say "Hey," you don't, that's very, informal. You don't do it.
Right.
You say, I'm well. I can always say, "I'm doing well. How are you?" So you don't say, "I'm good." You don't say that either. You say, "I'm doing well," and just those kinds of things. But still, it puts me in a place where I'm suddenly, it's like life is this role to play, and it's just so much. Momentarily, I just get a little distressed. That's all.
Hmm. Well, you're giving us a lot to think about, and I'm writing all of it down
Mhm.
because, the roles that we play, oof, there's so much pressure in that. And I
Yes.
want to say hello to I Am Dave from the Married Couple podcast, and Charlie and Tammy and Sonia Sundara. Thank you for being here. Yes, thank you so much. The roles that we play, there's so much shame in that as well, because it's like if you don't show up in that role,
Hmm.
maybe because you're tired, maybe because you're sick, maybe because, I don't know, today you didn't feel like it. And it's been a journey for me as a mom and as a wife to understand that if today I don't physically feel like making dinner, then we can figure it out as a family. Like, I'm not the only one that lives here. I'm not the only one that can put a meal together, right? And
Right.
so getting out of that mentality of all of the pressure, no, I have to do this because it is my duty, it is my role. There's a lot of freedom in that as well. And the thing about getting up when you are physically ill to show up for a role is that it affects you even more. You can get more ill, or it can affect you at the soul level, because you can then tap into that energy of resentment, right?
Yes.
And you don't want to
Absolutely.
resent your family for something. You want to do nothing but love them, right?
Right.
And so, as a highly sensitive empath, it's like, right now, I just need to stay in bed, and you all need to go out for pizza or order
Right.
in,
Because
or, cook something. I know you can
right.
do it.
Don't make me blow up. Don't make me feel angry. Just let me be. Right.
Right. Yes, of course. And so this book of etiquette that you found, we're gonna release it.
Okay.
We're gonna just put it in a little canoe like the Hawaiians do, and just watch it float away into the
Okay.
full moon setting, because we're beyond that. This is not cotillion, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
not the
It's not
first.
social. Right.
Well, it's not the first class deck on the Titanic,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. 90% of that stuff in the book is that exactly.
Right. And most importantly, how outdated is this book anyway? When was it
Well, it's
written?
right 1912 when the Titanic sailed, actually, and I think most of it. I mean, it's been added to. It's been kind of a little
Bless your
renovated.
heart.
Yeah, but I mean, some of the simple stuff, it's good. I mean, I'm glad I learned it, but it's just still, but it's more that is just what I just read with that 40 laws of power. That just because I mean, listen, one of the things is this: fear friends. I mean, be celebrate because friends they start to envy fat quicker, and so you should if you hire an enemy, they have more to prove. This is too much for me. I mean, this
Mhm.
is just beyond like just normal level stuff. I don't. Oh, it just drives me crazy for a little bit, but I'll be fine after tonight.
Yes, it's okay. All of that is the full moon euphoria that Rami was talking about. We feel it. We can just, navigate through it. We are on the beach. We're going to go
Yeah.
do a meditation right now, and it's going to be wonderful. But I'm here writing that we're going to let go of the shame of other people not resonating with the way that we show up. I know that this happens in social media as well. Your Twitter is very humorous, and I love it for that. But I can see how some of the jokes that you post may not land well with some people. And you have a large following. You have like 29,000 followers. So it's obvious, it's a common sense that not all 29,000 are going to be like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious, right?
Right.
There's always going to be someone who just doesn't get it. There's opposition in all things, right?
Right.
That's the other side of the coin, the balance in nature. So, if you ever feel, which I doubt it, because I know you very well, and I know that it's like, no shame, we're just chilling. But
Hmm.
even if, the shame of other people not resonating with us, the roles that we play, or the pressure that comes from the roles that we play, and the feelings. Oh, so this is big. So thank you so much, Ron, for sharing that. And thank you for being here. I appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and finish this so that
Sure.
we can do that meditation. Um,
Thank you.
yes, the
Could I
feelings of,
share one thing?
oh yeah, go ahead.
I want one thing. Is just crazy. I've had a song in my head for the last 2 or 3 days, and
Mm.
I'm an artist, a musical artist, so I don't. It doesn't bother me. But it was a song about the moon. Can you believe that?
Well, yeah, I can believe it because first
It's
of all, I'm
crazy.
spamming the moon everywhere. First of
Yeah,
all, that's
that's
one.
true.
And two, it's like you're all feeling it, and I love
That's
it.
right. That's awesome. Okay. Bye
Yes,
bye.
and thank you for sharing that song. Send me a text about it so that I can look it up. Thank you for that because of course it's going to get mixed up in all the comments here. But everyone, release the need for other people validating us. That's a big one, right? We want to be so aligned enough that we look at ourselves in the mirror and we validate ourselves. It's happened to me before. I am from an island. I am Puerto Rican. I had an entire lifetime before I met my husband at the age of 30. And so sometimes I'll wear something and he looks at me and he's like, "Is that really what you're wearing?" And I'll look at him and be like, "Yes, this is what I want to wear. I don't need your validation right now. It's 90 degrees. And if I want to wear biker shorts to SeaWorld, I'm going to wear my biker shorts to SeaWorld, even if I'm 37." And he's like, "Well, you look like Gracie." He'll tell me something like, "You look like Gracie, our 20-year-old, my 20-year-old stepdaughter." And I'm like, "Well, you should be lucky that I look like a 20-year-old in my shorts," right? And so, not seeking validation from others is one of those huge things. And the full moon is the perfect time to just release that need. I don't want to need it, right? It's like set the intention that you don't want to need that validation. You want to really do whatever it takes to find that validation within yourself. And it is normal. We want to get validation from each other, right? It's not just about kudos or, support. It's about, what do you think about this? And we tend to do that with the people that we care about the most. When it becomes toxic is when we seek validation from people who completely don't resonate. And for some reason, we get stuck on trying to impress that person. And that's just toxic. That's just wasted energy, wasted precious time. This person is never going to get it. Let it go. It happens a lot with victims of domestic violence when we just fall in love with the wrong person and we just get stuck on the fact that if you changed, it would be so wonderful. And in the meantime, would you please look at me and would you please love me? Well, that's never going to happen, right? And that's a whole nother conversation. We don't need to get into that. But still, release the need to be validated by others. Release the social pressures of having to people please people in social media, right? To have to show up to an event, even though it doesn't resonate, or to have to show up to a Twitter space or whatever, even if you don't feel comfortable there. There's no need. Be authentic to you and to your soul and do what your soul is calling you to do. And hopefully, some of those things that you release will make room for the blessings that you're calling in. I am Dave and his wife. They have the Married Couple podcast, and they probably want, success or more guests or more interviews. And so that's the type of thing that you let go of negativity to make room for. So thank you. Thank you all for being here. Let's dive into this meditation. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I knew that this episode was going to go past the hour because we had a special guest. So that's totally well and fine. If you are all still here, then we're going to go ahead and do this meditation. And while we do the meditation, I'm going to go ahead and paint. I'm going to do it all at the same time. And it's going to be wonderful. And in this meditation, we are going to go to the beach. Let's go to the beach, because it's the full moon in Pisces, right? And so we are fishies in the ocean, and we want to let go of some of these things. So both feet on the ground, get comfortable, close your eyes, give me your hand, darling, and take a moment to just breathe, just breathe. And the waves may be very far in the distance, but that's okay. Just take a moment and focus your attention on your normal breathing. Nice and slow. Nowhere to go. Nothing to do. And as you know, we're going to activate that vagus nerve that its sole duty is to relax us and to bring us back from that, euphoria into stillness. So practice this when you're on your own. And with me, you're going to take a deep breath in, deep, deep, deep. Just take it nice and slow. Fill those lungs all the way to the top. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it go. Nice and slow. Just long breath out all the way to the end. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe in again. Deep, 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 deep breath in, nice and slow, all the way to the top. Fill those lungs. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let it go. Let it go, nice and slow, all the way to the end. And when you're done, you're going to focus on your normal breathing. And with your eyes closed, and with your mind's eye, you're going to imagine that you are floating on a raft on the ocean, nice and still waters. And the ocean is dark, and there are no stars in the sky because the moon is so bright and so big and so magnificent. And the light shimmers on the rippling waves around you. So beautiful. And so still, even in the soft movement of your raft. And as you look up to this magnificent display of light, a memory comes along, like a little fishy in the water. And all you think about is how this memory makes you feel. Is it a trigger? Is it feelings of discomfort? Is it desperation, fear, or shame? And with me, you're going to take a deep breath in, deep, deep, deep. Just fill those lungs all the way to the top. Hold it 1, 2, 3, 4, and let it go nice and slow. And as you breathe out, you're going to let go of that feeling. And remember that you are safe, that you are loved. And so you keep floating around, taking nice, slow breaths, floating in the water under a bright full moon. And as you keep looking up, a shooting star, another thought, another intrusive idea. How do you feel about this one? What feelings is it awakening within you? And if it's discomfort and fear, then focus on what is on the other side of that fear. What is the fear telling you? Something you need to change? Something you need to research and learn more about? Something you need to let go of because it doesn't serve you? Something you could release to make room for a more authentic expression of your soul? And with me, you're going to take a deep breath in. Deep, 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 nice and slow. Fill those lungs. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe it out and let it go. Because it doesn't serve you. Because it is getting in the way. Permission to just let go. Whatever you feel ashamed of, there's no point in that. This shame is taking precious real estate space in your brain. So just let it go. Someone who is judging you in a way that makes you feel ashamed is obviously not a friend. Permission to just let go of that feeling. It is not conducive to an authentic expression of who you are or who you want to be. And you're floating, nice and still, taking in all of the beauty. Bring your awareness to your hands and place your hand on your chest. And as you look up at this magnificent, bright, white harvest moon, ponder what feelings do I want to harvest? Oh, Rami. What feelings do I want to harvest this season of my life? Do I want to harvest feelings of pride for the work that I do? Do I want to harvest feelings of community love and community building? Those are the things I want to call in, right? So think about that as you take on that magnificent moon, and remember and think for yourself, I am so loved. I am safe. I am so creative. And my community loves me for my efforts. And every single effort counts. With me, you're going to take one last deep breath in. So deep, deep, deep. Just breathe in, fill those lungs. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it go, nice and slow. No hurry, just breathe out. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in again. Nice and slow. Just take a deep breath in. Fill those lungs. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let it go. And remember, you are so loved. You are safe. You are valued. And everything that the moon is shedding light on is for your own good. So don't be afraid to look at the fear, to look at the shame, to look at the discomfort. Know that it is okay and that you have people who can help and support you along the way. So bring your awareness to your hands. Wiggle your toes. Come back to me. Yeah. I see Rami has sent a video. Yes, Rami, you're fine. Thank you so much for that. You were celebrating. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for all of your kindness. I see Matthew and Fiona joined us. Welcome. You got here just a few seconds after I started the meditation, so I hope that that was interesting to say the least. You missed the context of it, but the full moon is all about releasing, and we were discussing how powerful, how powerful the full moon in Pisces can be, with a lot of revelation, insight, or whatnot. And thank you so much, Cecilia Grace, for all of your love. And I'm just so happy to be here and so happy to share with all of you. So Rami Amun, thank you for joining us. What a beautiful conversation you allowed us to have with you. Everybody find Rami_Astro on Instagram. It's such a delight to follow your content and to check out everything that you post about the moon and all the planets. Oh yeah, Cecilia says that she saw my Instagram post and that she came over here. It was beautiful, Cecilia. I definitely recommend that you tune in to the replay. And I'm just gonna paint something here really quick. So thank you again for joining us. And if anybody would like to come up to share or to show us what you may have painted, we're going to go ahead and share that in a second. But I'm just doing something really quick here because we ran out of time, even though we have nothing but time. But Here's my painting for the day. It's an R and A for Rami Astro, and it says Astro right there. So there you go. That's my painting. And what we journaled is under there. So we are releasing some of the overthinking. We are releasing the shame of procrastination. No room for that. There's only room for, I don't want to say productivity, because I know the pressure that can create. There's gentler ways to go about it, but just let go of the shame. And the best way to get things done is to get things started. Oh, I saw that on a tweet earlier and I thought it was so brilliant. So thank you all. I love you. Thank you for coming. And I will see you on Monday, Moon Day, for another episode of Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace, where we get to plan our week and, most importantly, tune in for the new moon episode where we will be planting those seeds of intentions. We want Rami to be featured in big magazines like Time Magazine or something like that. I'm just going to put that out there. The Man in the Moon. I know there's a movie called The Man in the Moon. So, that's going to be Rami and Moon. There you go. So thank you again. I love you all. Follow me on social media. Thank you so much. My link is on the fortune cookie. You can buy me a cup of tea and check out Rami and all of his amazing merch. Bye, everybody. Have a good night.